Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to a bit. I don't really know what we call this because it wasn't even in the plan, ladies and gents. I'm Dave Davies coming to you from a sunnier climate, and that is probably why some are looking and thinking, why is that red as a raspberry? Because I have come in outside from sunbathing, chatting around the pool with a few people because naturally, wherever you are in the world, everyone loves football. And of course, at the moment, it's all transfer talk. Now, Liverpool in recent times have been very quiet, haven't they? For obvious reasons, that everything's been about the Diogo Jota tragedy. We've all been sort of coping with that, supporting each other through that as best as we possibly can as a Red family. And it does feel that things have started to sort of go back to maybe what you'd expect, if that's the right phrase, in the last day or so after the Preston 3-1 victory at Deepdale. And this morning, it feels like we've got the kick-off for everything. Although I'm saying this morning, ladies and gents, maybe it's been the last few days, because talking about another club, Newcastle United, all of a sudden just they came back onto the docket, didn't they, for Hugo Ekitike, the French attacker currently at Eintracht Frankfurt. Marcus Kroos has been clear that there's a fee of around €100 million, about 86 million quid, depending on where you get your euros, to secure the 22-year-old. And Newcastle now look like they're going to meet it or getting closer. In fact, in the last, I think, hour or so, they've had another bid around €80 million, I think it is, got closer and closer. And there's been all sorts of stories, haven't there, that they're expected to meet it. So I think people would now be more surprised if Hugo Ekitike doesn't, shall we say, get a chance to meet with Newcastle officials. I think that a new bid, shall we say, will get accepted at some point. And there's various theories about this, and I don't know why we're so intertwined with Newcastle fans at the moment, and they get upset with a lot of the things that we say, don't they, at the same time? There's a great line from Sam Maguire's patron on it this morning saying, Newcastle United are either ridiculously clever or obnoxiously dumb. I thought that was great phrasing. If you think of where they are at the moment, there's a lot of Newcastle fans are totally bought into this thing that Hugo Ekitike coming plays with Alexander Isak, 4-4-2 or some variation, but rotation, whatever, they play together. And then you look at Newcastle and you think, well, their success, and unfortunately we felt some of this last season, that Carabao final, is based on that midfield three, isn't it? Tonali, Joe Linton, Bruno, Guimaraes. Those are the three, that physicality that they bring. And sort of flying wingers, wasn't it? Anthony Gordon, name that won't escape at all. Isak, and then an alternate. And obviously Alanga's come in. And there's so many questions. But I think we're all looking, and Reds, we're probably all thinking the same thing, let's be honest. We would be astonished beyond belief if they've been bought to play together. Because no side really does that too often nowadays, plays with two up front. So I might correct me, but I can't think of too many sides off the top of my head that play with two up front. And no one buys, especially a Newcastle side, that's not trying to be disrespectful to them, spends that million on someone to be a backup, a rotation. It just doesn't happen. We also know that Newcastle are trying to sign a central defender, aren't they? Scalvini, where it was linked, James Trafford for the goalkeeping position. I think even Conor Gallagher was rumoured the other day at the same time as well. So they're trying to do business currently. They're trying to do even more business. Their PSR, financial line, whatever you want to call it, is well known at the same time. So there's been a lot of reporters, even David Ornstein, mentioning this. It all revolves back to the Alexander Isak to Liverpool potential, which just won't go away. And it almost feels now that we need this Ekitike move to be completed to see if that will advance. But I am saying that, ladies and gents. There's been two Ornstein bombs today, hasn't there? The first one earlier saying Liverpool's focus in the market after earlier additions is a top striker. So that's the key phrase, a top striker. Now, this is from David Ornstein's deal sheet, which, if you remember, going back to last summer, and there's a few that pointed this out. Do you remember when he dropped this for Liverpool and said Liverpool are targeting an overseas DM with no name? And then all of a sudden, Martin Zubimendi broke, didn't he? Yes, we know how that ended up, but just sort of following the parallels there. Now, this time, he actually goes a bit further. He says the wide roles are filled. Darwin Núñez move is expected again soon. So this is the priority. And the two names he quoted in the tweets were, funnily enough, you probably know where I'm going with this, Alexander Isak and Hugo Ekitike. So, yeah, interesting there. I mean, in the article, the first one that he mentioned, that Darwin Núñez, the Napoli one, that feels like it's been dragging for years, doesn't it? Realistically, and they're going to have to make a move soon. And he also mentioned that Saudi clubs are interested, which corresponds with quite a few Saudi accounts mentioning that Al Hilal have now got a strong interest. Obviously, they've had no luck with their striker search, haven't they? That Victor Osimhen move proved futile, and that Simone Inzaghi, their new coach, does want Darwin Núñez, which, if we're honest, would just be great for everyone, wouldn't it? Because it's the Saudi money, the golden goose, as it were, and a chance for Darwin to be loved. And, you know, if the last game he ever plays for us is that friendly doing the Diogo Jota celebration, obviously he goes with love and affection. And if he brings a sack full of cash the other side, you know, maybe everyone's happy and Darwin gets his deal. So there's that. And yeah, Hugo Ekitike, as if you mentioned, the wording around this, there's a little bit of suspicion that... And I didn't really want to do this because I'm on holiday, but a few journos actually messaged me, not playing ITK, just a few had genuinely while I'm on holiday, saying, just with this, keep an eye on it, because Liverpool are just sniffing around that whilst it looks close for Hugo Ekitike to Newcastle, Liverpool are also just monitoring it. Now, I'm speculating here on this. There's a feeling that it's almost, and maybe I'm getting it wrong, we might all be getting it wrong, that you take Ekitike, give us Isak, you can buy other players, that's a deal. But if you start fucking around with what we want this summer, we'll fuck around with yours and take Ekitike. I don't think it is that personally. But, you know, we're all speculating a little bit here. It's the excitement of the transfer window, isn't it? But if you haven't read it, David Ornstein's one to watch across the board. And the other thing that he mentioned, I mean, there's a few other striker names that Mateta got linked as well. Nicholas Jackson, God no, at Chelsea was mentioned. But a line that also intrigued me, probably intrigued many, for the forward line, in the middle, Federico Chiesa is considered an option there. Now, this looked, I mean, Arne Slot, I'm still struggling with this because it's clear Arne Slot didn't fancy him last season, but maybe for where we are now, it could be that, could he be the backup? Could he get minutes? Is there a World Cup year? He'll want those, or the stories had him going or wanting, understandably, to go back and play in the Italian league. But there doesn't seem to have been a lot of offers, does there? There was rumours of Napoli, but nothing firmed up there. They had all their focus on Darwin Núñez. Looks like that shift, hasn't it, across the board. So, yeah, nothing's quite as certain with Federico Chiesa either, but it's pretty certain that Darwin Núñez will leave Liverpool. And then the one that's broken, the latest instalment on Luis Diaz, that Bayern Munich have submitted a second formal proposal, as David Ornstein said, worth €67.5 million, which translates to about 58.5 million quid, which has just been rejected out of hand by Liverpool, saying he's not for sale. But David Ornstein also clearly tweeted in that article that Luis Diaz has made it clear to Liverpool he wants to leave. Now, others have said this, so it's no secret, but we've mentioned on the transfer show for months that Luis Diaz has wanted to leave Liverpool, you know, a couple of seasons, to be honest, for the climate, different things. But the one thing I'm still struggling with is the wages. There's still people quoting, well, of course he is, only gets 55 grand a week. People, there's been about 4 or 5 journalists said now that is not the case. In fact, Paul Gorst tweeted, I think about a week ago, that his contract is around 140k per week at Anfield. So we need to dismiss this 55k scenario. Now, we know the other weeks that Pipe Sierra has been mentioning it and talking about it in terms of that deal. So there's a little bit of uncertainty there. But as it stands, the one thing you can guarantee is that Luis Diaz does want to leave Anfield right now.